This environment minister is not worth the economic vandalism he has wrought on Canadians.
Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today here on my second channel, I have a House session that I didn't cover from the last week that they ran. This was about, a week and a half-ish, more than that ago. So they've closed down the House now for up until September 16th. That's when they're come back. But this is the last session I'll show. There was just so much news going on, I wasn't able to cover this session, which has a lot of good back and forth, a lot of debate, and a lot of Pierre ripping Trudeau. Without further ado, let's jump into this.
Just common sense conservatives who are saying that the Prime Minister's latest tax hike on small businesses, farmers, home builders, and healthcare is not worth the cost. Now, former Liberal Treasury Board President Scott Bryson says the Prime Minister's support for the tax hike is a combination of moral sanctimony and economic complacency from ministers who simply do what PMO tells them. He calls it socialist bafflegab. Why is the Prime Minister going ahead with killing jobs and raising costs with what his own Liberals call socialist bafflegab?
Speaker, despite the Conservative leader's partisan attacks, the raise on capital gains inclusion rates is very simple. If Canadians make more than $250,000 in profit from selling investments in a given year, we're asking them to share a little more of those profits with Canadians who need those investments, whether it's by investing in housing, whether it's standing up for school food programs, whether it's delivering dental care to seniors.
Whether it's selling a rental property, whether it's selling a painting business you built over the last 37 years.
These are investments we're making to support Canadians by asking the wealthiest to pay their fair share.
It's not partisanship for me. It's his own former Liberal Treasury Board president who calls it socialist bafflegab. In fact, the tax begins applying on the very first dollar that a small business earns. And, you know, he's been promising that raising taxes would make life fair. We find out today from the Food Banks Association of Canada that now a record-smashing 25% of Canadians live in poverty after 9 years of his taxes, his deficits, and his doubling housing costs. Why is he going ahead with the same wackonomics that caused the poverty in order to solve it?
It's actually, the numbers are out. There's 150,000, upwards of 300,000 Canadians that are homeless. And if you look at the numbers in America, they have around 300,000 homeless. So we're the same, except their population is 10 times more. Think about that. They have 10 times more people, yet we have the same level of homelessness. Our situation is thus 10 times worse.
Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition talks about affordability, but he's standing against raising taxes on the wealthiest so we can give more supports to those who actually need it. He's standing against our school food program, which is going to help 400,000 kids across the country have fuller bellies as they study, and take the pressure off about $800 a year for families who are pressed with the cost of groceries. We're continuing to deliver.
This guy is just stumbling over his words. He could barely get the words out.
Dental care supports to seniors, and as of next week, to young people and Canadians with disabilities. We're there for Canadians. He's voting against it.
It has been 9 years of this Prime Minister promising trickle-down economics, that if he just takes money away from small businesses and workers, it will go from one level of government to another level of government to another level of government. It will trickle down. And now 25% of Canadians are living in poverty, something he tried to cover up, just like he covered up his own data showing $25 billion of extra costs with the carbon tax, nearly $2,000 in carbon tax cover-up for every single family. How can we trust anything he says about taxes, poverty, or money?
These Liberals have been lying to us for 9 years.
Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition hid for 8 weeks while he was trying to come up with an answer to us, asking the wealthiest to pay their fair share so we could invest in fairness for every generation. I think he needs to go back to the drawing board because his answer is completely illogical and unfounded. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to delivering for Canadians struggling with food prices, we've got a national school food program that's going to help 400,000 kids, that party is voting against, Mr. Speaker. They talk about affordability, but they're actually only interested in themselves and their political advantage.
For 3 months, this Prime Minister has known about serious allegations that parliamentarians are knowingly working with foreign governments to undermine our country, yet we don't know if he's had a single conversation with any member of his caucus. And the Conservative Party leader doesn't even want to know about serious allegations of foreign interference that directly impact their party. Why do both of these leaders put the interests of their party in front of our country?
Speaker, as all parliamentarians know,
the honourable member from Battle River Crowfoot knows indeed that he should not be speaking at the time. So I'm going to ask the honourable member, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, to start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, all parliamentarians in this House know how important it is to protect our democracy from foreign interference. That is why we've been working together, whether it's on a National Security Committee of parliamentarians that we created over the objections of the Conservative Party, whether it's through strengthened mechanisms within our national security universe, but also through...
This is a bunch of word salad. He doesn't even take their recommendations. It's ridiculous.
Election interference monitoring by top public servants. We have taken more actions on preventing foreign interference than any other government, and we've continued to work with independent commissions like the public inquiry to get to the bottom of it.
What's crazy about this is, so this is shot like a little over a week and a half ago, and we still don't know. We don't know who the traitors are to our country. Are we going into an election and not knowing who the traitors are? This is crazy.
Prime Minister divides to distract. He turns groups against each other. He fans the flames. He gave funds to an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier. And so even before October 7th, hate crimes were up 162%. And since, we've seen the rise of Hamas-inspired hate camps at university campuses that intimidate Jewish students and promote genocide. Will the Prime Minister finally summon the courage to join with me and call for these hate camps to be shut down and closed up so that students can safely go back to school?
Hell yeah, Pierre. I like that he brought that up. That needed to be said. They're exactly what they are. They're hate camps. It's ridiculous to have that in our country. It's illegal.
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
I welcome the Leader of the Opposition recognizing the divisive rhetoric and the division that is occurring in Canadian society right now. We have a problem with hatred. We've got to address that problem with hatred. We know that the statistics show that hate crimes are on the rise 130% in the last 5 years. That's why I was proud to stand with CJA when we tabled Bill C-63, the online harms legislation that would improve penalties for hate crimes, that would provide a definition of hatred.
Bill C-63 is your minority report bill. That thing is ridiculous. You guys can just charge anyone who you think is going to commit a crime. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
That would ensure that we are keeping Canadian communities safe. The Special Envoy on Anti-Semitism supports the bill. CJA supports the bill. I'm just wondering why the Leader of the Opposition does not.
About those hate camps, all while he allows 700 agents of the Iranian regime to openly operate in Canada 4 years after they killed 55 Canadians, 30 permanent residents, and funded the brutal massacres of October 7th. 6 years of excuses and they did nothing. But with the by-election on Monday and the Prime Minister desperately needing to pad his margins, it turns out that there might be enough pressure for them to finally ban the IRGC terrorists that they should have banned years ago before they set up shop here to terrorize our communities.
So fast forward, they did eventually have to do that. They did ban them, and she mentioned the by-election Conservatives won. So it's a little interesting actually just going back a week or so and seeing how things have played out.
The Prime Minister always put himself ahead of the safety of Canadians.
Mr. Speaker, our government has taken a series of measures to hold the murderous Iranian regime to account. We have consistently said and taken measures, whether it's under immigration legislation. We've listed the Revolutionary Guard Quds Force in terms of being a terrorist entity. Mr. Speaker, we take advice from national security agencies in terms of listings, and we think that honourable members should allow that process to take place. And when we have some news, we'll be making an announcement appropriately.
The honourable member from Foothills.
This Liberal NDP Prime Minister is robbing hardworking Canadians to pay for his out-of-control spending. The level of that thievery was exposed last week when the Liberals were forced to admit that their carbon tax scam robs our economy of $30 billion a year. And it picks the pockets of every single Canadian family of $2,000 a year. This Environment Minister is not worth the economic vandalism he has wrought on Canadians. Will he admit that his carbon tax is a scam and just resign?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, a deception was revealed last week.
It was.
The deception was the fake pose of the Conservatives to pretend to be on the side of working people. And last week we gave them a choice. We said they could be on the side of a nurse or a welder, a Canadian who lives from paycheck to paycheck, or they could side with a multimillionaire. It did not surprise anyone on this side of the House. The Conservatives yet again chose their rich lobbyist friends. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker.
I'm surprised they didn't throw him out for calling them rot on Canadians.
Honourable member from Foothills.
About the NDP Liberal carbon tax scam was exposed last week. And it confirms what every hardworking Canadian already knows. It makes life unaffordable. The Liberals' own data, which they desperately tried to hide, shows the Liberal carbon tax scam robs Canadian families of $2,000 a year. This is money that they would put on dance fees, hockey registration, a summer vacation, or just to put food on the table. The truth is, hardworking Canadians can't afford this Environment Minister's carbon tax scam. Will he admit it's a failure and just resign? Give Canadians a break.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, there really has been a scam that has been revealed.
Every time she gets up now, it's just like, Mr. Speaker. She looks so hard done by, just getting up to speak.
For weeks, for months, the Conservatives have been trying to distract and deceive. They have been trying to bamboozle Canadians. They have posed as being on the side of working people, on the side of people who live from paycheck to paycheck. But Mr. Speaker, last week they showed their true colors, and they voted against the plumber and the nurse. Now Canadians know whose side they're really on.
What's interesting looking back at this, so we know that they lost the St. Paul's election now, and this was filmed just before it. And now we know that Chrystia Freeland is in the hot seat. It seems like maybe she's on the outs. She's looking kind of stressed here too. Her body language doesn't look like someone who's too comfortable. I bet you she was on the fritz already. Maybe Justin gave her a talking to, and then she's crossing her fingers. And now that they lost the Toronto St. Paul's, I don't know, let's stay tuned. She might be getting kicked out.
Speaker, the Environment Minister has been caught covering up a damning secret from Canadians. After years of telling Canadians they'd be better off from the carbon tax, his own government's data has proved him wrong. The carbon tax will cost the Canadian economy $30 billion every year. That's nearly $2,000 per Canadian family. Now that we know the Environment Minister chose to vandalize the Canadian economy with his carbon tax, will he do the right thing and resign?
Vandalize the Canadian economy. That's so well said. That's what it is. It's vandalism against our lives here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reality is that climate change is already costing Canadians $25 billion in the last 10 years alone. Not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now. It's already happening. And if we don't do anything, it's going to be an extra $35 billion to Canadian taxpayers. What we're doing on this side of the House is we're helping Canadians fight climate change.
Yeah, they never have numbers. They never have any proof. They never have any documents. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And when he was pushed on it, oh yeah, 2050. I think that's what he said. 2050, then we'll start to see the effects of the carbon tax. reducing costs and saving the planet. But not now. No. We got to wait about 30, 40 years first.
And we're helping Canadians with affordability, which is why 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back from carbon pricing than what they pay, Mr. Speaker.
No. They have to throw that talking point in the garbage. They know it's a lie. They're just going to take that one to the grave. So they go back and forth, the same talking points back and forth. So that's basically it. The most important one there is Pierre Poilievre calling out the encampments at the universities. That's amazing, because it really goes to show once Pierre Poilievre gets into power, he should just go through and just wipe all that crap out. No more filling our streets with that nonsense. No more taking over national monuments and stuff and defacing them with their spray paint and all the crap that they're doing in our country. Just wipe that crap out. I don't know if that's what he'll do, but it seems just having that opinion, stating that so clearly in the House, he's going to be tough on those people and not let them get away with calling for the genocide of a people in this nation. We've got 400,000 Jewish people. We've got 2 million Palestinians in Canada. So there's overwhelming numbers against the Jewish in Canada. And it's not, you're not allowed to do that. It's not fair. It's illegal what they're doing. Trudeau is pandering to the people, though, he can get more votes from. That's why he doesn't do anything. And it might be part of a more sinister plan where he's trying to work with those countries to help take down Canada. Or maybe he's even working with China. Maybe he's getting paid off by Xi Jinping to work with those countries, bring people in, destabilize our countries. It's happening all across Europe. Right? It's not like some conspiracy theory. Look what's happening in France. People are completely revolting because it's broken their country. It's breaking, the Netherlands, UK. It's breaking all of these countries. Is it an inside job? If you look at America, Canada, UK, France, all these different countries, we've had or have these incredibly woke people in power, and they're all getting wiped out one after the other. If you look in the future here, it's probably going to be Trump winning. We've got Pierre Poilievre. The far-right party in France is doing really well. They've definitely got a chance to take over there. And same thing in the UK. You got Rishi. He's not doing good there. He's going to be kicked out as well. It's going to be a right-wing, right-leaning wave that takes over to get rid of all this woke nonsense. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about all this. But I'm really happy that Pierre stood up and took his stance on that. It was really needed. So thanks for watching the end of the video here on my second channel. Be sure to subscribe here. Let's get this channel up to 10,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate all of you. We'll keep fighting for freedom, and I'll see you guys in the next one.